Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Hurricane Hunt. I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci. Joined with me, my weather brother, Sean Sublette, down in Virginia. Sean, we talked last week and it was kind of quiet except for Hilary, and now it just exploded, this tropical scene. And we're talking about numerous storms to watch out for this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that popped up just over 48 to 72 hours. Not everything is as important as every other thing, but a few important takeaways. Let's start with that. There's two primary storms. One of them is Tropical Storm Franklin, and the other is Tropical Depression 9, which is about this close to becoming Tropical Storm Harold. Harold is going into South Texas, but for a lot of us on the central Gulf Coast, Atlantic coast, Franklin's what we need to watch over the longer term, slowly going to be working northward, and no threat to the United States this week or even this weekend. There are some questions 7 or 8, 9 days from now, but that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back a little bit, Joe, and just talk about what was going on with Hilary. Just phenomenal amounts of rain in places they don't normally get it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, San Diego averages 0.01 inches of rain in August, Sean. So any rain is going to be notable here. Here's a look at our storm total map over the past 48 hours. This goes back to Saturday. You see a lot of these lighter blues and purples. That's 2 to 5 inches of rain. Some places did see 10 inches on the leeward side of the mountains, on the eastern side of the mountains here. But let me just read you some rainfall totals quickly here. So
Mm-hmm.
San Diego, remember we just said 0.01 inches of rain. They had 1.82 inches of rain on Sunday. That is an August record. Then you go to LAX. So LAX Airport in Los Angeles, they had 2.03 inches of rain. That's the second most for any August day. And then this one is my favorite, Sean. Palm Springs, California, in the desert, away from the water, 3.18 inches of rain. Not only is that an August record, but it more than tripled the previous August record. I mean, I'm here in New Jersey, Sean, and that's like saying, Atlantic City got, I don't know, 11 inches of rain in a day or something insane like that. It is just incredible how much rain fell for them. You got to take it on a relative scale when you're talking
Oh
about the
yeah.
West, but it's certainly impressive.
Especially the deserts there in California and Arizona, they are just not accustomed to this kind of stuff at all, which is why, here in the central and eastern part of the country, we think, oh, 3 inches of rain, that's manageable. Not there. They don't
Mm-mm.
have the infrastructure to handle that as well. But back to Hillary, you can look at the satellite imagery. There's still kind of this residual circulation that's left over. You watch the satellite imagery, and it's spinning a little bit there, just off the San Francisco Bay. But at this point, it's all over. But the shouting, there's certainly going to be some more rain farther northward, but it's not going to be a consistent driving rain like they had a lot farther southward into California. But they're going to get more rain in Nevada and Oregon and Idaho in the coming day or two before this thing finally just washes out. But back to the Atlantic, as we said at the outset, all kinds of things going on there, Joe.
Yeah, it's very busy, but kind of like you said, Sean, there's more bark than bite to a lot of this. You just look at this map right now, and I see a couple of areas swirling around in the tropical Atlantic. Let's just point these out to you here. Here are 5 systems that are tropical or were tropical. So we have Tropical Depression 9, that will go into South Texas. We have Tropical Storm Franklin. That's probably the best looking and most defined storm. We have Gert, which went into a tropical storm and now back to a depression, the remnants of Emily, and then another area to watch off the Saharan coast here, or off, I should say, the West African coast. And, we take a look, region wide here, and we look at our satellite in the upper levels. Let me show you what's happening. So, we have 2 high pressure systems, one over the center of the country, another one near the Azores here. And what that's effectively doing is putting a block. It's putting up a fence and saying, hey, storms, you can't really move north. And you're kind of just staying in the tropics here. But that's going to change as we go into the middle portion of the week. The high pressures are going to kind of consolidate around itself. And then we open up pretty much the gate for a lot of these storms, especially the ones in the Atlantic, the 4 that we talked about, to kind of make their way into the open water and further north into places like Bermuda. I mean, I already arrows here from the four systems that are in the Atlantic. I'm not counting the Gulf storm here. And
Mhm.
they're all going to have a path to move to the north and west as we go into the middle and later portions of the week. And in the case of our east storm here, it's just going to go right into the high pressure system, and the high pressure is just going to eat it alive. And that's why it's just a remnant storm, and it's not anything of tropical nature just now. But like we were saying, Sean, last week, we start to act up around August 20th with our activity. We definitely did that.
Yeah, effectively right on time over the weekend. Right now, we're getting a 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So it's a very active time. And as we like to remind people, the peak of the hurricane season is actually September 10th. So we are just ramping up into the higher part of the season. Now let's take a look at the particulars of Franklin late Monday afternoon. It was still a kind of middling tropical storm, meaning the top winds were 50 miles an hour. And it's that big complex of clouds south of San Juan on just the west side of Barbados. It's slowly going to drift north over the next 2 or 3 days and then get back into the open waters of the Atlantic. We do expect it to become a hurricane by Friday or Saturday, but this is Saturday morning or so, and it's still well south of Bermuda. So this is not a threat to the east coast of the United States at all this weekend or early next week. Having said that, if you are going to the shore, if you are going to the beach, don't be surprised, especially south of Hatteras, if you run into some heavy swells, heavy surf, rip currents, that kind of stuff, because it kicks up the waves, and those waves really, really can go.
And you know what, Sean,
So
if
a
I could
couple,
say one thing about this
do it.
too, also coastal flooding as we go into next week as well. You're going to have
Yeah.
easterly winds with these swells. A lot of this, what we call sunny day flooding, where
Hmm.
there's no real storm around. It looks mostly sunny, but you do have coastal flooding, 6 or 9 inches of water on normally dry areas. So that's something to watch out for too as we go into next week. I'll let
Yeah,
you
no
wrap it up,
question.
Sean.
Yeah, no question. Some places on the East Coast a lot more susceptible to that, especially the Jersey Shore, and that's a Tuesday, Wednesday of next week kind of thing, depending on where the system goes after that. Again, for the shorter term, Franklin and TD9 were the ones that affect the United States the most. Keep the eye on Franklin. There's a lot of stuff out there right now, but if you're on the East Coast, Franklin is the one we need to focus on, but no short-term threat to the continental United States. If you're going to the beach this weekend, you are okay, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're just trying to let you know what's happening in the Atlantic. We recapped a little bit with Hilary here. And as we do get deeper into hurricane season, we're going to keep updating you with these videos. Right now we're not doing it every day, but as we, storms that could impact the US, East Coast or the Gulf Coast, we'll be on here multiple times talking to you about that. But the bigger picture is for now, it's active. It definitely could be more active, but we're
Mhm.
happy that it is what it is right now. We'll certainly take it. So, for meteorologist Sean Sublette in Richmond, Virginia, I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci here at the Jersey Shore. And thanks again for watching Hurricane Hunt.